Boy, it sounds like a sick hen, don't it? But actually, that's not a hen. That's a gobbler yelp. We're going to be talking about gobbler yelping in this video because I still get a lot of questions about gobbler yelping. About 3 or 4 years ago, I did the first video on the channel about gobbler yelping, and I got a lot of response from that video. People just didn't understand it. The next year I did a review on gobbler yelping, and you know, again, people still to this day, people ask me about gobbler yelping. Wherever I go, people ask me about gobbler yelping. I've seen that video on gobbler yelping. I've never really understood gobbler yelping. Explain that a little bit more to me. And if you haven't watched them videos, you know, just go back to a couple of years ago, and you'll see that video about gobbler yelping. And I go into detail about how to gobbler yelp and really what it is. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the scenario that you might find yourself in this spring where gobbler yelping can really pay off. Now, this is something that I don't do every day. I don't go out there and just gobbler yelp every single day, because in the springtime, we all know that it's about a gobbler's breeding. It's about the sex drive. It's about him coming to a hen. And so we want to try to sound like that hen. So 90% of the spring, I'm out there trying to sound like a hen, but I never want to forget about gobbler yelping, because it could be in them situations you find yourself in on henned up turkeys or maybe an early bachelor up group of toms where gobbler yelping can really save your hunt. Let me give you a quick story. Last year, I was in Indiana the last week of April in that, you know, that phase 3 that we all talk about, the lockdown, where everything just shuts up and they're all henned up with 5 and 6 hens, and it really can be tough. I was in Indiana, and we spotted the first day I was there hunting, we spotted this gobbler 300 yards at the end of this field, and sure enough, he had about 6 hens with him. Yeah, he had a bunch of them. So we park the truck, we go up in the woods there, and we try to get as close to him as we can without without calling. We want to sneak up on this, within 100 yards where we set up and start calling. So that's what we did. We got within about 150 yards. We set up, we started calling. I was hen calling. He wouldn't gobble. The hens would lift up their heads and they'd look, and they just kept going right on the edge of the field. And they was getting ready to leave, and then he would gobble maybe 1 or 2 times, But he just wasn't paying no attention because he didn't have to. He already had his hens with him, right? You found yourself in that situation a lot of times too, I bet. So after I knew the hens was not going to pay no attention to me, I tried calling to them. I was trying to get them fired up and get them to drag the gobbler to me. That works sometimes. They just weren't paying no attention. So I looked at the camera guy. I said, all right, I'm going to try something. And I said, we're going to try one more thing. Start Jake yelping and gobbler yelping. Now, we didn't have no decoys set out, because, I don't really use decoys very much, hardly ever. But we didn't have any decoys. We could have set them out anyway because we was trying to slip on this gobbler, and he could have seen us, of course. So we set up, and I started gobbler yelping. Started changing it and gobbler yelping, and all of a sudden, his white head turned solid red. He throwed that head up. He broke out into strut, started gobbling, and I seen that turkey's body language totally change. Then I started feeling pretty good. Got my face mask up, got my gun over my knee. I told the cameraman, I said, all right, he didn't like that. Started gobbler yelping to him more, challenging him. He come all the way across that field. Now, he wasn't going to leave them hens totally where he couldn't see them, and that's usually what you'll run into, in my experience. He come all the way across that field to about 60 yards, just out of gun range, and he just stood there and just strutted. And he just, just stood there, and it was just a little bit too far to shoot. But the hens started leaving, and he turned around, but again, he probably didn't see them. He didn't see a turkey down. Had I had a Jake decoy or a strutter down there, he may have come all the way in. I don't know, but that got him all the way from probably 170 yards, and then broke all the way to about 60. Now, if I'd have been set up just about 30 or 40 yards on up, he would have been in gun range, and I could have probably got a 45-yard shot at him. So the point is, he broke from his hens just enough to come almost into gun range. Now, it's still about setup. I was just in the wrong setup. But that happens more than what you realize. In the springtime, when they're really henned up and they just won't do anything, gobbler yelping, I have killed turkeys by doing that and challenging them. You got to remember the same reaction you get from a strutting decoy, where they come in, they display their dominance and they flog it, you know, and that happens sometimes. The same reaction you're getting from a strutting decoy is the same reaction you'll get from gobbler yelping, because he'll come in to look for that gobbler that's moving in on his ladies, want a challenge. So a lot of times you have to get away from their sex drive a little bit and challenge them in their dominance. So it's just a call that I have in my bag of tricks where I use in the right situation. Now, another scenario where it really plays in good, where I have had success, is in the early season. Last of March, if your state opens up early and it's like the last of March, first part of April there, before they get all henned up and the gobblers may have 3 or 4 buddies they're still running around. If they're not paying a lot of attention to hen yelping, for whatever reason, you know, maybe they're just who knows, you know, they're just a gang out there and they just ain't really got that drive to come yet. A lot of times you can gobbler yelp and they'll come up and investigate. They'll just come in. They may come in quiet, but they'll come in to investigate just to see who the new guy in town that they heard, because they know that in a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks down the road, they're going to all be fighting for dominance. So they're going to find out who they got to fight and who's the new kid on the block. So I have had luck in the early part of the season when I see gobblers together that maybe it just ain't responded like I want, trying to hen call to them. So again, it's not a magical formula. It's not something like a magical call that you're just going to pull out and every gobbler's going to come running to you. I just use it in certain situations. But I have had great luck by gobbler yelping, jake yelping, and all you're doing is just lengthening out your yelps. Make it more raspy, get you a more raspy type mouth call, or a box call is a great call to gobbler yelp. You're just lengthening out your yelps. So have that gobbler yelping in the back of your mind this spring, and when you find them situations where it might be benefit, don't never hesitate, because you may find yourself gobbler yelping a big old gobbler right in to gun range, and it may save your hunt this coming spring. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button down in the corner and subscribe to this channel. Also, go down to the description, hit that link, come over to my Facebook page and like and follow me there, and follow me all year long. Check out DellOutdoors.com and also SpringFeverCustomCalls.com. And there you can find a lot of great calls, including the old slide box call that's coming out really soon. And I know that you're going to really enjoy that call. See you in the next video. Try that gobbler yelping this coming spring.